Admiral Crickstall stood in the conference room aboard Harmony Station, looking out at the gas giant Jupiter. His entire worldview was crumbling around him. For centuries, the Zaltharian Empire had believed that conquest was the only path to survival. But these humans were offering something completely different. "President Harper," the Admiral said slowly, "my empire has conquered 47 worlds. We have enslaved billions of beings. We have built our power on the fear and submission of others. Why would you trust us with your defensive technology?" President Harper walked to the window and stood beside the alien commander. "Because, Admiral, we've studied your species for 7 years. We know that Zaltharians are not naturally evil. You became conquerors because you were afraid of being conquered by others. Fear made you into something you never wanted to be." Dr. Sarakim stepped forward with a tablet showing detailed psychological profiles of Zaltharian society. "Admiral, our xenologists have analyzed your culture extensively. Before your empire began its expansion 300 years ago, Zaltharians were scientists and explorers. You became warriors because you had to, not because you wanted to." The Admiral's forearms trembled slightly. "How can you know so much about us when we know almost nothing about you?" General Alex Thompson answered from her position near the tactical displays. "Because we approach problems differently than your empire does, Admiral. You gather just enough intelligence to plan an attack. We study potential contacts for years to understand how to build lasting peace." Captain Ryan Kelly's voice came through the communication system from his ship, the Defiant. "Admiral, during our battle today, my weapons officer asked me why we didn't just destroy your fleet when we had the chance. I told him that anyone can destroy their enemies. It takes real strength to create allies." Admiral Crickstall looked around the room at the humans who surrounded him. "But what guarantee do you have that we won't take your technology and use it to become even more powerful conquerors?" President Harper smiled. "Because, Admiral, that's not how our technology works." Admiral Crickstall had conquered 47 worlds, but he had never faced a situation like this. His mighty fleet was surrounded by human ships that appeared from nowhere, using technology that was clearly superior to his own. But instead of destroying his fleet, the humans wanted to talk. "Admiral," Sub-Admiral Vexhai whispered urgently, "our tactical computers show that the human fleet could destroy us completely within minutes. Their weapons are targeting every vital system on every ship, but they're just waiting." Admiral Crickstall looked at the image of President Harper on his communication screen. The human leader appeared calm and confident, but not angry or threatening. This was completely different from every military encounter in Zaltharian history. "Why? Aren't you attacking us?" the Admiral asked. "You clearly have the power to destroy my entire fleet." President Harper leaned back in his chair. "Because destroying you won't solve the real problem, Admiral. Your empire conquers worlds because you believe that's the only way to survive in a hostile galaxy. We want to show you a different way." On Earth, a new phase of the operation began. General Alex Thompson, the Commander-in-Chief of Space Forces, appeared on communication screens throughout the human fleet. Alex was a veteran of 30 years of secret space military operations, and she had been planning for this moment her entire career. "All human vessels," General Thompson announced, "begin escort formation around the alien fleet. We're taking them to Harmony Station for negotiations." Captain Ryan Kelly, commanding the Defiant, received his new orders. "All right, people, change of mission. Instead of fighting, we're now providing safe passage for the alien fleet. Ben, power down weapons, but keep shields ready." Lieutenant Ben Parker looked confused. "Captain, we have them completely outgunned. Why aren't we finishing this?" Ryan smiled. "Because, Ben, any idiot with a big enough gun can blow things up. It takes real intelligence to turn enemies into allies. The human ships moved into formation around the Zaltharian fleet, not as captors, but as escorts. The aliens had expected to be destroyed, or to fight to the death. Instead, they found themselves being guided toward a space station they had never detected before. Harmony Station was humanity's greatest secret project. Built over 15 years in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon, it was designed to be the first diplomatic contact point between humans and alien species. The station was huge, capable of housing thousands of beings from different worlds, with meeting rooms designed for every type of alien physiology that human scientists could imagine. Dr. Sarah Kim, the head of the Department of Xenological Relations, had been waiting her entire career for this day. She watched from Harmony Station's main observatory as the human and alien fleets approached together. Director Kim, her assistant, Dr. Mark Wilson, said excitedly, "We're about to make first contact with an alien species under controlled conditions. This is exactly what we built this station for." Sarah nodded, but her expression was serious. "Mark, this isn't just first contact. This is our chance to change how the entire galaxy thinks about conflict and cooperation. If we can show the Zaltharians a better way than conquest, we might be able to prevent countless future wars." Admiral Krickstahl's ship docked with Harmony Station, still surrounded by human vessels that could destroy him at any moment. But as he walked through the station's corridors, he saw something that amazed him. The entire facility was designed for peaceful meetings between different species. There were rooms with different gravity levels, air compositions for different types of breathing, and communication systems that could translate any language. President Harper met the Admiral in a large conference room with windows that looked out over Jupiter's colorful clouds. The human president was accompanied by military officers, scientists, and diplomats, but none of them appeared threatening. "Admiral Krickstahl," President Harper began, "let me show you what humanity has learned about your empire." The room's walls displayed star maps showing the Zaltharian Empire's expansion across the galaxy. But the human maps contained information that shocked the alien admiral. They showed not just conquered worlds, but detailed analyses of Zaltharian technology, military tactics, and even the internal politics of the Empire. "You've been studying us for 7 years," Admiral Krickstahl said in amazement. "You know more about our empire than most of our own commanders." General Thompson stepped forward. "Admiral, we've been preparing for this encounter since we first detected your subspace communications. We know that your empire conquers worlds because you believe it's the only way to protect your species from other threats. But we want to show you our alternative approach." The display changed to show the true extent of human space operations. Secret bases throughout the solar system, hidden fleets, defensive networks that could protect entire planets, and most importantly, technology that was generations ahead of anything the Zaltharians possessed. Dr. Sarah Kim activated another display. "Admiral, humanity spent 3 decades developing these defenses, but here's what makes us different from your empire. Look at these systems." The display showed human weapons and defense systems, but Admiral Krickstahl noticed something strange about them. "These weapon systems have built-in limitations," he observed. "They're designed to disable rather than destroy. Why would you limit your own military power?" President Harper smiled. "Because, Admiral, we learned something that your empire hasn't discovered yet. The strongest civilizations are not the ones that can destroy the most enemies. The strongest civilizations are the ones that can turn enemies into allies." Captain Jake Morrison appeared on a communication screen from NORAD. "Admiral, let me show you what happened during our encounter today. Your fleet arrived expecting to find a primitive world with chemical rockets and nuclear bombs. Instead, you found a civilization that had spent 50 years preparing specifically for your arrival." The display showed the battle from the human Perspective. Every move the Zaltharian fleet made had been predicted and prepared for. Every weapon they used had been studied and countered. The humans had not just been ready for the alien attack. They had been ready for that specific type of alien attack by that specific alien empire. "This is impossible," Admiral Crichstall said. "How could you prepare so precisely for our arrival?" Dr. Kevin Ross appeared on another screen, broadcasting from his facility in Nevada. "Admiral, humanity has a unique advantage. We imagine threats that don't exist yet and prepare for them anyway. Every science fiction story, every military simulation, every war game contributed to our defense strategy. We didn't just prepare for aliens to arrive. We prepared for every possible type of alien that might arrive." Lieutenant Amy Peters, speaking from NORAD, added, "Your empire follows predictable patterns, Admiral. You scout a world, you assess its defenses, you attack with overwhelming force, and you demand surrender. We've been ready for that exact scenario for 30 years. But then President Harper revealed the most important part of humanity's plan. Admiral, here's what makes this different from every other military encounter in galactic history. We could have destroyed your fleet completely, but we didn't. Do you know why?" Admiral Crichstall shook his head, still trying to understand these strange humans. "Because," President Harper continued, "we don't want to be another conquering empire. We want to create something new in this galaxy. A community of worlds that protects each other instead of conquering each other." General Thompson activated. One final display. "Admiral, we know that your empire is constantly fighting other species that are trying to expand their own territories. You conquer worlds because you believe that if you don't, someone else will conquer you. But what if there was a third option?" The display showed a new kind of galactic map. Instead of showing empires conquering each other, it showed networks of allied worlds sharing resources and technology, defending each other against common threats. "We're offering to share some of our defensive technology with your empire's enemies," President Harper explained. "Not to help them conquer you, but to create a balance of power where no one can conquer anyone else. Then, instead of fighting constant wars, all of our species can focus on exploration, science, and building better lives for our people." Admiral Crichstall stared at the displays in silence. Everything he believed about power, conquest, and survival was being challenged by these humans who had the strength to destroy his empire, but were choosing to offer cooperation instead. "This has never been tried before in galactic history," he said quietly. President Harper nodded. "That's exactly why we want to try it. Admiral, your empire came here expecting to find victims. Instead, you found teachers. The question is, are you willing to learn?" Admiral Crichstall stared at his tactical displays in disbelief. His most powerful weapon had just been completely blocked by a human ship. The bridge of his flagship fell silent as every officer tried to understand what had just happened. "Impossible," whispered the weapons commander. "Our plasma cannons can destroy asteroids. How did that primitive ship deflect our beam?" Sub-Admiral Vexhai frantically checked his intelligence reports. "Admiral, our scans showed that ship using ancient nuclear reactors and simple steel armor. There should be nothing on that vessel capable of generating defensive shields." Admiral Crichstall felt anger rising in his chest. "Fire again. Use full power this time. I want that ship completely destroyed." But down on the USS Gerald Ford, Captain Nick Stevens was actually smiling. Well, that was interesting. Their plasma weapons are powerful, but they're exactly what our computer models predicted. "Dana, how did our new shield generators perform?" Commander Dana Walsh checked her instruments. "Perfectly, Captain. The energy absorption rate was 98%. We barely felt the impact. The alien weapons are strong, but they're using technology we figured out how to counter 15 years ago." Nick pressed a button on his command chair. "This is Captain Stevens to all stations. Prepare to show our guests what human technology really looks like." Across the ocean, similar ships began powering up systems that the aliens had never detected. What the Zaltharians thought were primitive aircraft carriers were actually mobile weapons platforms, each one capable of defending against an entire fleet out in space. Commander Lisa Hayes aboard the Liberty Station received an encrypted message. From Earth, the time for hiding was over. "Dr. Wright," she called to the scientist, "activate all our defensive systems. Let's see how the aliens react to a real surprise." The space station that had appeared to be a simple scientific research facility suddenly came alive with energy. Weapon ports opened along its hull, revealing particle beam arrays that could slice through alien armor like paper. Shield generators created a protective bubble around the entire station. Communication arrays powerful enough to coordinate defenses. Across the solar system began transmitting orders to hidden human forces. Dr. Paul Wright watched his instruments with fascination. "Lisa, we're getting responses from installations the aliens never knew existed. Moon Base Alpha is online. The Mars Defense Platform is ready. Even our secret bases in the asteroid belt are reporting full combat readiness." Admiral Crickstoll ordered his fleet to fire on the space station. Dozens of his ships launched their most powerful weapons at the small human outpost. But instead of being destroyed, the station's shields absorbed every blast. Then something even more shocking happened. The space station fired back. Beams of pure energy lanced out from Liberty Station, striking 3 Zaltharian warships. The alien vessels, which had seemed invincible moments before, exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The humans had not just defended themselves. They had struck back with weapons that were clearly superior to anything in the Zaltharian arsenal. "Admiral!" Vex High shouted in panic. "We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. There are human installations everywhere. On their moon, on the planets, hidden in asteroid fields. They've turned their entire solar system into a military fortress. On Earth, the global defense network that had been hidden for decades finally revealed itself. In underground bunkers, technicians like Steve Adams and Carol Thompson activated weapon systems that made the aliens' technology look like toys. Steve pressed a series of buttons that brought online a network of orbital defense platforms. "Carol, are you seeing this? Every single hidden installation we built is responding. The aliens are about to learn why humanity spent 50 years preparing for this day." Carl's screens showed defensive positions across the solar system. "Steve, look at the power readings. Our antimatter weapons are generating energy levels that are off the charts. The alien ships won't be able to handle this kind of firepower." In his secret facility in Nevada, Dr. Kevin Ross activated Project Lighthouse. Instantly, every human military installation in the solar system was connected through a communication network that allowed perfect coordination. The aliens had been fighting separate human forces. Now they were about to face humanity as a single unified military. "Power." "Carol," Dr. Ross said to his assistant, "send the signal to all stations. Begin Phase 2 of the defense plan." Across space, hidden human ships began decloaking. Captain Ryan Kelly's vessel, the Defiant, appeared from behind an asteroid, its sleek hull gleaming with advanced armor. All around the alien fleet, similar ships materialized from nowhere. The aliens suddenly realized they were not surrounding a helpless planet. They were trapped in the middle of the most sophisticated military ambush in galactic history. "Captain Kelly to all ships," Ryan spoke into his communicator. "This is what we trained for. Show them what human engineering can really do." The human ships moved with speed and precision that amazed the aliens. Where Zaltharian vessels were big and intimidating, human ships were fast and deadly. They darted between the alien warships like fighters, but each one packed enough firepower to destroy vessels 10 times their size. Lieutenant Ben Parker, the weapons officer on the Defiant, targeted the nearest alien cruiser. "Captain, there. Armor is exactly what our intelligence reports predicted. Our new plasma torpedoes should cut right through it." "Fire at will, Ben," Ryan ordered. The torpedo struck the alien ship and tore through its hull like it was made of paper. The massive Zaltharian cruiser broke apart and exploded, its debris scattering across space. Admiral Kriegstahl watched in horror as his mighty fleet was being torn apart by ships that had appeared from nowhere. "How is this possible?" "Our intelligence said the humans barely had the technology to reach their own moon." Visai's voice was filled with fear. "Admiral, our intelligence was wrong. Completely wrong. The humans have been watching us for years. They built their entire defense strategy specifically to counter our weapons and tactics. Every scan we made, every probe we sent, they detected and learned from it. President Bill Harper decided it was time to make contact directly. From the Oval Office, he activated a communication system that could broadcast directly to the alien fleet. "Admiral Kriegstahl of the Zaltharian Empire, this is President Harper of Earth. I think it's time we had a conversation." The alien admiral's face appeared on screens throughout the White House. His gray skin had turned pale, and his forearms were trembling. "How do you know my name? How are you able to communicate directly with my ship?" President Harper smiled calmly. "We've known about your empire for 7 years, Admiral. We detected your subspace communications and tracked your expansion across the galaxy. We've been preparing for this meeting for a very long time." In NORA, Captain Jake Morrison watched as the tide of battle turned completely in humanity's favor. Lieutenant Amy Peters stood beside him, her tablet showing the positions of human forces throughout the solar system. "Captain, all of our hidden installations are now active," Amy reported. "We have the alien fleet completely surrounded. They came here with 5,000 ships, but we have defensive positions they never dreamed existed." Jake nodded slowly. "Amy, do you realize what this means? For the first time in galactic history, a species that came to conquer has found themselves outgunned by their intended victims." But President Harper was about to do something that would shock both humans and aliens alike. Instead of pressing the attack and destroying the Zaltharian fleet, he made an offer that no one expected. "Admiral Kriegstahl," the president said, "I want you to power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted to a safe orbital position. We have something to discuss that could change the future of your entire empire." The alien admiral stared in confusion. You're not going to destroy us?" "No, Admiral," President Harper replied. "Humanity doesn't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to make it a better place for everyone. But first, we need to show you something that will change how you think about power and conquest." Around the alien fleet, the human ships held their positions but did not fire. For the first time in Zaltharian history, an enemy that could destroy them completely was instead offering to talk. Admiral Kriegstahl realized that everything he thought he knew about warfare, conquest, and power was about to change forever. The next morning, President Bill Harper sat in the White House Situation Room. Around the big table were video screens showing world leaders from every major country. Prime Minister Helen Wright appeared from London, President Marie Laurent from Paris, and Chancellor Klaus Weber from Berlin. All of them looked surprisingly calm for people facing an alien invasion. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Harper began, "we all received the same ultimatum from the aliens. They want us to surrender in 18 hours. What are your military advisors telling you?" Prime Minister Wright spoke first. "My defense minister says our forces are ready." He actually seemed excited about finally getting to test our new systems. "President, Laurent nodded. Our space command has been waiting for this day for 30 years. They say the alien ships are impressive, but not impossible to handle. Chancellor Weber leaned forward. My generals are asking permission to activate the Luna base weapons. They want to see how well our particle beam arrays work against real targets. President Harper smiled. It seems like we're all thinking the same thing. The aliens believe they're facing the same humanity that could barely reach the moon 50 years ago. They have no idea how much we've advanced. Meanwhile, at NASA headquarters, Director Tom Phillips walked through corridors buzzing with activity. His deputy, Dr. Linda Green, hurried to keep up with him as they headed to the most secure part of the building. Tom, the International Space Defense Force is reporting full readiness, Linda said, reading from her tablet. All 200 stealth platforms are in position throughout the solar system. The aliens still haven't detected any of them. Tom stopped at a heavy security door and placed his hand on a scanner. 200 ships that they can't see, each one more advanced than their biggest battleship. I almost feel sorry for them. Almost. The door opened to reveal a massive control room filled with screens and technicians. This was the real NASA, not the public version that launched satellites and explored planets. This was humanity's secret. Space Navy Command Center Captain Ryan Kelly floated in the command chair of his ship, the Defiant, hidden deep in the asteroid belt. His vessel looked nothing like the clunky space shuttles the aliens had seen in their intelligence reports. The Defiant was sleek, fast, and armed with weapons that could crack a moon in half. Captain, his weapons officer, Lieutenant Ben Parker, called out, "We're getting signals from all the other stealth ships. Everyone is in position and ready." Ryan looked at his main screen, which showed the positions of all 199 other hidden human ships. They surrounded the alien fleet like an invisible net. How long until the aliens figure out they're surrounded? At their current scanning rate, probably never. Ben replied with a grin. Our stealth technology is based on studying their sensor systems for the past 7 years. We know exactly how to stay invisible to them. Back on Earth, the global response was unlike anything the aliens expected. In major cities around the world, people were treating the invasion like a holiday. In Tokyo, street food vendors sold Space Invader-themed meals. In London, bookmakers were taking bets on how long the aliens would stay. In New York, the stock market was having its best day in years as defense companies saw their stock prices soar. Tony Ritchie, a hot dog vendor in Central Park, couldn't believe his luck. Thousands of people had come to watch the alien ships through binoculars and telescopes. "Get your alien-watching hot dogs here," he called out. Best view of the invasion. In the city, a family with 3 kids bought hot dogs and set up folding chairs on the grass. The father, a construction worker named Mike Davis, pointed up at the nearest alien ship. "Kids, you're probably the first humans in history to see real aliens. Make sure you remember this day." His daughter, 8-year-old Katie, looked up with wonder. "Dad, why aren't we scared like in the movies?" Mike thought for a moment. "Because your mom works for a company that builds those satellites everyone thinks are just for TV. And I helped build some very special underground tunnels that most people don't know about. We've been getting ready for this day for a long time." Admiral Crickstall was becoming frustrated. His psychological warfare experts had promised that the humans would panic within hours. Instead, his intelligence reports showed humans having picnics while watching his fleet. Some were even making jokes about the aliens on their internet networks. "Sub-Admiral Vex High," Crickstall called to his intelligence officer, "explain to me why these humans are not afraid." Vex High studied his reports with growing confusion. "Admiral, their behavior makes no sense. Every other species we've conquered showed immediate signs of panic. Mass evacuations, military mobilization, desperate. Attempts to hide their leaders. But the humans are acting like we're some kind of entertainment. Maybe they're too primitive to understand the threat, suggested the fleet weapons commander. No, sir, Vex-High replied. Their communication networks show they clearly understand who we are and what we can do. They're just not afraid of us. Some of them are even making humorous images about our ships and sharing them on their networks. In a secret facility buried under the Nevada desert, Dr. Kevin Ross put the finishing touches on Project Lighthouse. The room around him was filled with the most advanced computers on Earth, all connected to a network that reached every human military base, every hidden weapon system, and every secret installation across the solar system. Dr. Ross, his assistant, Carol Mitchell, said excitedly, "We're getting confirmation signals from all our deep space assets. Every single system we've built over the past 30 years is online and ready." Kevin looked at a display that showed the real extent of human military power. The aliens had no idea that humanity had turned their entire solar system into a fortress. Hidden bases on the moon, armed stations throughout the asteroid belt, weapons platforms disguised as scientific satellites, and defensive systems that could protect every major city on Earth. "Carol, do you realize what we've accomplished?" Kevin asked. Every science fiction movie, every alien invasion story, every military simulation has contributed to the most comprehensive planetary defense system in galactic history. We didn't just prepare for aliens to arrive. We prepared for every possible type of alien that might arrive. Meanwhile, in China, Major Lu Wei coordinated with space defense forces around the world. Despite the political tensions that normally existed between countries, the alien threat had activated secret treaties that most civilians didn't even know existed. When Earth was threatened from outside, humanity spoke with one voice. American. Space Command, this is Beijing Defense Center. Lu spoke into his secure communicator. All our lunar installations are ready. We're sharing targeting data with your Mars platforms. The response came from Colonel Beth Morgan at the Pentagon. Copy that, Beijing. Our Jupiter monitoring stations are tracking every alien ship. If they make any aggressive moves, we'll know about it before they do. As the day wore on, the Zaltharian fleet prepared for what they expected would be a simple demonstration of power. Admiral Krickstahl had decided to destroy a few human cities to show them what resistance would cost. But he wanted to start small. Maybe just sink one of their primitive naval vessels. His targeting computers identified what appeared to be one of Earth's most powerful warships, an aircraft carrier in the Pacific Ocean. It looked impressive by human standards, but to Zaltharian technology, it seemed like a floating target that could be destroyed with a single blast. What the aliens didn't know was that this ship, like everything else on Earth, was not what it appeared to be. The USS Gerald Ford looked like a normal aircraft carrier, but it was actually a mobile platform for testing humanity's most advanced defensive systems. Captain Nick Stevens stood on the bridge of the Ford, watching the alien fleet through his high-tech periscopes. His executive officer, Commander Dana Walsh, monitored the defensive systems that no alien scan could detect. "Captain," Dana reported, "we're reading energy buildup in the alien flagship. They're preparing to fire on us." Nick nodded calmly. "All hands, prepare for alien weapons test. Activate defensive grid on my mark." Up in space, Admiral Krickstahl gave the order that would change everything. Fire one warning shot at that human warship. Show them what Zaltharian power can do. The massive energy beam lanced down from space, bright enough to be seen from orbit. It struck the aircraft carrier directly, and Admiral Krickstahl waited to see the ship explode into pieces. Instead, something impossible happened. The energy beam hit an invisible barrier around the ship and scattered harmlessly into the ocean. The aircraft carrier didn't even slow down. For the first time since arriving at Earth, Admiral Krickstahl felt a chill of uncertainty run through his 4 hearts. The morning sky above Earth suddenly went dark. 5,000 alien ships appeared from nowhere, each one bigger than any city. They blocked out the sun over entire countries. The massive vessels hung in the air like floating mountains. There, dark metal hulls gleaming with strange lights. Admiral Krickstahl stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Edge. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and 4 arms. His black eyes looked down at the small blue planet below. This was his 48th conquest. He had destroyed worlds, enslaved entire species, and built an empire that stretched across the galaxy. Earth would be easy. "Look at this pathetic little world," he said to his officers. "They still use chemical rockets to reach their own moon. Their weapons are primitive. They fight each other constantly. This will take less than a day." Down on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in a deep underground bunker in Colorado. The place was called NORAD, and it watched the skies for threats. Jake sipped his coffee and stared at the computer screens. The screens showed thousands of red dots hanging over Earth like angry stars. Lieutenant Amy Peters ran into the room. Her face was red from running, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "Not fear. Captain, the energy readings are incredible. These ships are huge, but their power systems are really interesting." Jake nodded slowly. "What do you think, Amy? Should we be scared?" Amy looked at the screens again. She had been studying alien technology theories for years, even though most people thought it was just science fiction. Their technology is good, but it's not as advanced as they probably think it is. Look at these power signatures. They're using fusion reactors that are actually less efficient than our latest designs. High above Earth, Commander Lisa Hayes floated in the space station. Liberty. Through the big windows, she could see the alien fleet spread out like a dark cloud. But Lisa was not afraid. She had been expecting this day for a long time. Dr. Paul Ripe floated over to her, his tablet showing streams of data. Paul was a scientist who studied space technology. "Lisa, I've been watching these ships for 3 weeks now. Our deep space telescopes saw them coming long before they knew we could detect them." "What did you learn?" Lisa asked. Paul smiled. "They're powerful, but they're also predictable. Their formation is exactly what our strategy books said to expect from a conquest fleet. They scan planets the same way, every time. They probably think we're still using the same technology we had 50 years ago." The alien admiral decided it was time to make his grand announcement. He activated communication systems that would broadcast to every radio, television, and internet connection on Earth. His voice, translated by alien computers, spoke to every human on the planet at the same time. "Primitive humans of Earth." Admiral Krickstahl's voice boomed across the world. "I am Admiral Krickstahl of the Zaltharian Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. Your planet is now under our control. You have 24 hours to surrender completely, or we will destroy your cities and enslave your people. We know about your nuclear weapons. We know about your small space stations. They cannot hurt us. Submit now, and some of you may live." In New York, people stopped on the streets and looked up at the giant ships. Instead of screaming and running, many of them took out their phones to record videos. Street vendors started selling alien invasion t-shirts. Some people brought folding chairs and snacks to get a better view. In Washington, D.C., deep inside the Pentagon, General Chris Baker sat across from Colonel Susan Davis. They both looked calm, almost bored. On the table between them lay a thick folder marked Project Blue Sky, Alien Contact Protocols. "Well, Chris," Susan said, "it finally happened. What do you think of their ships?" Chris opened the folder and flipped through pages of plans and strategies. Pretty much exactly what we expected. Big, intimidating, but they're scanning us with the same technology we figured out how to block 20 years ago. They think our most advanced weapons are the ones they can see from space. Should we tell the president that we're ready? Susan asked. Let's wait a little longer, Chris replied. I want to see what else they'll show us. The longer they think we're helpless, the more information they'll give us about their real capabilities. Back in space, other alien officers were getting confused. Sub-Admiral Vex High, the intelligence officer, studied readings from the planet below. Admiral, something is strange. The humans are not acting like the other species we conquered. There are no mass evacuations, no panic. Their military forces have not even raised their alert levels. Admiral Crickstall waved a dismissive hand. They are probably too stupid to understand the threat. Or maybe they are frozen with fear. It does not matter. Tomorrow we will begin orbital bombardment of their major cities. That will make them understand. But down on Earth, in secret facilities buried deep underground, technicians like Steve Adams and Carol Thompson were quietly turning on systems that had been waiting for this day. Steve worked in a facility hidden under a mountain in Nevada. Carol worked in a similar place under the ocean floor near Japan. All around the world, people in hidden bases were powering up machines that the aliens could not detect. The alien ships settled into orbit around Earth, confident and threatening. They had no idea that every move they made was being watched, analyzed, and prepared for. Admiral Crickstall went to sleep that night, sure that tomorrow would bring another easy victory. On Earth, Jake Morrison finished his coffee and walked to the big display screen that showed the positions of every alien ship. Amy Peters joined him, along with dozens of other officers who had trained their whole careers for this moment. So, Jake said quietly, they think we're primitives with chemical rockets and nuclear bombs. Amy grinned. Should we tell them about the antimatter weapons? Not yet, Jake replied. Let's see how long they keep underestimating us. Sometimes the best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't know you have. Outside, the alien ships cast their shadows over Earth. But in the darkness below, humanity was getting ready to surprise them.